Okay. Can you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi. Welcome to the November 21st, 2019 meeting of the Philipstown Planning Board. I will be acting chair for tonight as Andy Moranti has stepped down from his role as chair of the planning board. We just want to thank Andy for his many, many long years of service to the town of Philipstown, including 15 years on the planning board, 10 years as chair, 8 years on the town board, 12 years on the Nelsonville board, also a few years on the ZBA and the Haldane School board. So Andy, we're going to miss you, and we look forward to seeing you around town. Thanks very much. So we'll do the roll call.
Kim Connor.
Here.
Dennis Gagnon.
Here.
David Hardy.
Here.
Peter Lewis. Neil Tolman.
Here.
Neil Zuckerman.
Okay. So the first order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes for October 17th, which was our regular monthly meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or additions? Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, and then in addition, there was a second special meeting, which was during a site visit on October 27th, and we have minutes from that meeting. Any corrections, additions? Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, so the next order of business is public hearing, Jolie Hunt and William Potter Site Plan, 201 Moog Road, and I'm going to ask Tara to read the public hearing notice.
The Philipstown Planning Board of the Town of Philipstown, New York will hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 21st, 2019, starting at 7:30 p.m. at the Claudio Marzolo Community Center, 107 Glencliff Drive, Garrison, New York, to consider the following application. Jolie Hunt and William Potter Site Plan, 201 Moog Road, Garrison. The applicant is seeking site plan approval for the construction of a pool, the enlargement and reconstruction of a deck, and to develop the surrounding landscape adjacent to the existing residential structure. The property is approximately 11.86 acres located in an RC zoning district, tax map number 49347. At said hearing, all persons will have the right to be heard. Copies of the application, plat map, and other related materials may be seen in the office of the Planning Board at the Philipstown Town Hall. Dated at Philipstown, New York, this first day of November 2019, Anthony Moranti, Chairman.
And so we'll go to Glenn Watson to talk about the application.
Good evening, Glenn Watson from Beatty and Watson. I'm here with Mr. Potter and his landscape architect, Alan Broadbent, in the back. I'm not going to say very much. I'm going to ask Alan to really give you the gist of the project. But it is at the very end, the very top of Moog Road. This property falls down away from Moog Road towards the river. As you saw in your site visit, the plan is to construct a pool to the south of the existing house, actually a little to the southwest. And as you can see from the slope analysis or from the topo, that there's very little area that can be used. We do have a flat area here, but we have exposed ledge, and it would be a very difficult thing and very difficult, costly, and we think environmentally unsound to start blasting away the rock in here to put a pool in. But other than that, we have really no other area except the tennis court, which is already built. And perfectly frank, Mr. Potter and his wife want to be able to access the pool from the house without any great amount of distance. So this is a relative, not flat, and I'm saying, but relatively flat area, it flattens out a little bit. And by building a retaining wall and building it into the slope a little bit, would be able to avoid, or largely avoid blasting, I think avoid blasting, and build a pool on to the side of the house in close proximity to the other outdoor facilities that the house has in terms of its deck and its barbecue and that sort of thing. Obviously not the tennis court. I think the issues that we talked about were visibility from the river. I'm going to ask Alan to come up and show you his more detailed plan of that area and talk about that.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Alan Broadbent, landscape architect on this project. It's nice to see you. Thank you for doing the site walk with us on October 27th, which hopefully was very informative, allowed you to see the property and understand a little bit more about why we're here presenting this project to you. As Glenn has nicely summarized, the project, or the proposal of our project, is to construct a swimming pool on the slope. The reason we're here, as has been mentioned before, is because of the nature of the slopes on the property. We have chosen the place of least resistance in terms of digging or excavation out of the property to minimize environmental impact. So the swimming pool is being placed in this location for that reason. As we mentioned during our site walk, we also have carefully navigated the existing trees on the property and tried to minimize the extent of tree removal that would be required to construct the swimming pool. In the packet of our design information, which you have, we are proposing the installation of new trees. The whole construct of this is to be a very naturalized swimming pool area, to be integrated into the hillside in a sensitive way, visually, aesthetically, and environmentally. And our approach to this project has been to take all of those things into account. The design of the swimming pool area is to have an upper area that then terraces down into a lower area. We're trying our best to work with the slope as opposed to imposing a large flat area. We're terracing in several plinths or levels down the hillside to minimize the amount of regrading and retaining walls that would be necessary to build a project. We're also using materials that are within the character of the site, within the context of what this site would have. So the retaining wall that's proposed at the base of this project would be in the character of the project. The stonework around the swimming pool and the planting style would be very much in character with the hillside and would suit this property very well. We talked a little bit during our site visit about how visible or not this would be from down below, and an observation that was made by a board member was that it would be no more visible than the house is already because of the natural tree cover that exists below the home. So there are many pieces of information that you have with the design in terms of lighting and planting, terracing, and other things. We've given great thought to the grading of the project and the way to mitigate any potential environmental impacts. So with that explanation, I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. So at this point, does anyone on the board have any comments or any questions? No? I guess my question, Glenn, did you find out what the SHPO, why it turned up on the SHPO?
No, I didn't. Can't think of any reason why it would have.
Okay. So in that case, Ron?
Okay, you have a prior technical memorandum from my office from last month's meeting, and we also did generate some a record of the comments made at the October 27th site visit. With respect to the required referrals, it's been referred to Putnam County Planning. They've responded. To date, you have something in your packet to indicate that they've approved the project as submitted. Referral was also made to the Town Conservation Board. Their review of the project is ongoing. I'm unaware whether they've conducted a site visit yet or not, but their expectation is to visit the site and provide comments back to the board. There's some various technical comments that must be addressed as the plans evolve for the board's consideration.
So if the CB hasn't come back to us yet, what does that mean?
My expectation is you'll have comments shortly from the board. I'm guessing within a few weeks. Typically, the Natural Resource Review Officer makes contact with me and provides me with written comments or some verbal comments that I then pass back to the board.
Okay. Steve?
Public hearing, I think it's appropriate to ask the public for comment at this time.
All right, so is there anyone here who is interested in making a comment about this application? So the record should reflect that there's no one here. At which point, I guess I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I understand you don't have comments back from the Conservation Board, but I would respectfully ask that you ask Mr. Gaynor to prepare a resolution to approve this project, and with the expectation that you may have to edit it during your next meeting.
Does anyone have an objection to that? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion that we direct Ron to prepare resolutions for the December meeting, should we have a December meeting? Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Moving right along. Under old business, 1122 Route 9D Realty LLC. The applicant is seeking site plan approval to construct a canopy over the gasoline pumps. Property is located in HM Hamlet Mixed Use District and consists of approximately 1 acre. Resolutions have been prepared for a vote this evening. That's tax map 60.18-1-46. So at this point, I'd like to ask Mr. Gaba to, we've received no?
What would you like to ask?
I'd like to ask you to comment on the request that we received earlier.
All right. As I understand it, there's a question as to whether or not the planning board can grant site plan approval in the event there are outstanding violations. The answer to that is yes. Certainly outstanding violations are something to take into consideration in deciding whether or not to grant site plan approval, but it's very often the case that someone does something on their property that requires site plan approval. They get cited by the building inspector, sometimes even taken to court. And then they come to the planning board and say, I need site plan approval in order to do this thing that I want to do. And the only way they can get it is if the planning board grants site plan approval, notwithstanding the outstanding violation. Any outstanding violations are a matter of code enforcement. That's the building department's province, not the planning board's. So the answer to that question is yes, you absolutely can. Listen, you were handed up, apparently, I found it here in my seat, a letter from the Garrison Hamlet Association. You know, the planning board certainly has discretion to consider comments after the public hearing, but I can tell you that it has never been the practice of this board to accept 11th hour submissions or memos from the applicant or from anyone else. This particular one asks you to consider imposing additional conditions on the approval. Whether you wish to do so or not is up to you. You could ask your engineering consultant if you're interested in the whys and the wherefores on that.
Thank you. So I would like to ask Ron.
I guess in reading the document that was presented tonight, the question was raised over hours of operation and operational lighting at the facility. Could the applicant's representative speak to that?
Yes, Bart Lansky, 28 Ridgeway, Purdy's, New York, for applicant. I believe the lighting's going to be improved, and so what we see is that when you put a canopy in place, it has new LED downlights, and the fact that the foot candle spray on those is much narrower because the canopy stops it from going any other direction. We heard at an earlier meeting applicant testify that the canopy gets shut down when he closes. This is not a 24-hour gas station. I believe, if memory serves, and I didn't know there was a memo, the hours are around 5 to 10 daily. And I don't believe there was any impetus to change that. This is not we're not on Route 9. And so essentially, I think there's probably some ambient light inside the store, which from coolers and what have you, which stays on. But the site's pretty dark at night. I've driven by, and it'll be, when it's open, there'll be less light infiltrating off the site, and it'll be closed down at night. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Would the applicant be willing to stipulate that the 5 to 10 hours of operation be included as a note on the site plan?
The applicant's wife had a baby about an hour ago, I believe. I'm not in touch with him over something like this at this kind of late hour. I saw a resolution. We didn't expect anything more. I think we submitted on the AF form the hours of operation, which I believe were 5 to 10.
That's what they were.
And so if the planning board wants to find their way through a condition that way,
Well, it would be a note,
continue-
not so much a condition. It would be a note saying applicant represents that the hours of operation will be 5 to 10. The canopy will be turned off during non-operational hours.
I think I can agree to stipulate that for applicant.
That worked, Ron? or-
Sure, absolutely. We can, I mean, if you
Okay.
consider to move the draft reso with that additional condition, that can be resolved.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to say about this application?
My understanding that they've taken I'm sorry I missed last month's meeting, but the 2 points had been the canopy and then the used car sales.
Yeah, the used car sales have been eliminated from the application.
That's off the table.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I would agree with your attorney that the standard practice is, and by law, a violation is stayed when you apply to a board. So the fact that,
About that.
well, no, it is,
Yeah, it's the ZBA, not the planning board.
but throughout any violation, when I go to court on these municipal violations, and I go to court on a regular basis for them, and I forget the section, there is an automatic stay on the enforcement of that while you're applying for it, because that's the only process you can take. This is the natural process. Is if there's a violation and it can be cured by site plan approval, you make application for it. That's what we see every day.
So in this particular case, because that violation is now off the site plan, right, which is the used car sales,
Yeah.
so where does that leave us?
Then I understand that there'll be no more used car sales until such time as there's another application and it's approved. So that's my understanding.
So that's a matter for code enforcement, though. That's what you said. Yeah.
They can only ask for what they can only ask for. They come and they've asked you for planning board, site plan approval for the particular site plan you have before you. And you have to judge that site plan on its own merits. You can't say, well, gee, but
These are
there's
these
this
other
other
things.
issue
Yeah,
that may.
exactly. Yeah. So, any other comments, Neil or Dennis or David? No. So it's my understanding that if this is, once this is approved, they'll have to go to the code enforcement officer in order to get the building permit, at which point, if there are violations, he would address those. Is that the process?
Yeah, that's pretty much the process as far as that goes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so and we are not an enforcement board.
You are not.
That's right. So given that, I'd like to know if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the resolutions.
Excuse me, there's a
One more step.
secret declaration
Sorry,
as
we
well.
didn't do that yet.
That should be done first.
Okay. So,
Which is one of the resolutions.
which is one of the resolutions, so that's why I'm confused, okay. Yeah, it's okay. I'm new at this. So we have a resolution adopting a neg deck under SECR. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so our second resolution then related to 1222 Route 9D is, we just call this a resolution, right?
To approve site plan.
Approve site plan
Site
approval.
plan approval.
Okay.
And that would be subject to the addition of the footnote indicating the hours of operation and lighting.
Okay. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. All right.
The applicant had a baby and got approved. Nice. He's having a good day. Wish him well.
Okay. So the next application on the agenda under old business is the Chundu Moth Minor Site Plan, 120 Skyline Drive, tax map number 16-1-23.13. The applicant is seeking site plan approval for the construction of a new 4,000-plus square foot single-family residence in the same location as originally identified for development on the approved subdivision plat. The residence will be two-story and has an approved SSTS for the tract. The property is approximately 13.26 acres situated in RC Rural Conservation Zoning District. Resolutions have been prepared for a vote this evening. So for the applicant, Glenn Watson.
I'm just awaiting your motion. Nothing unless, if you want me to explain this again, I'd be happy to, but it's, you made your site visit. We've made adjustments in the plan to avoid the steep slopes. We do have a septic permit that's, I believe we submitted with the application, but if we haven't, we certainly will. It's a fairly developable site once you get up there and get up the hill get up the road from the Route 9. So be pleased to have you grant approval.
Okay. Ron, is there any comments?
No, statutorily, you've accomplished the necessary referrals. You've got comments back from this Conservation Board as well. So I think it's now ready for your consideration of the site plan application.
So I don't seem to have these things. So we have a neg deck under seeker for the
No,
site
there
plan?
isn't.
No,
There
we
isn't.
don't do that. There isn't one because
a
it's that
type
type 2. Yeah, okay, cool.
And you've already declared it as such in the prior
Okay.
meeting.
Right. Okay, so then all there is a resolution approval. Yeah? Okay. Any comments from any of the board members? No?
Nope.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask you a question about
Yeah.
this next.
That's a good question. So, Steve, I have to ask you a question. I have to recuse myself from the next one because I'm a neighbor.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so we
I
don't have a
just realized
quorum.
that For that one, yeah.
Okay. I'm very sorry. Because I'm your neighbor, I can't sit on this, and because we only have 4 of us here, that would leave 3 of us, and that's not enough for a quorum. So we'll have to hold you over till next month. I'm
Steve?
terribly sorry.
I'm sorry, I have a question regarding being a neighbor. What's the distance? I'm about a mile and a half up the road from them. I'm assuming I'm not really a neighbor, but
Well, there is no, it's not demarked in distance, it's demarked in the impact that it would have on your property right. So if somebody's putting in a cement factory, a mile and a half probably would be an issue for you. If it's a single-family home, I don't think it's gonna have any impact on you
not a problem.
whatsoever.
Okay.
But an adjoiner, adjacent, something like that, even if it's a really nice house, yeah, your property interest theoretically would be impacted, so.
yeah, there's absolutely no line of sight and nothing.
I think you're okay, Dennis.
Okay.
That being said, you're probably a half a mile away and down a hill, uphill, and over the hill.
Well, I'm across the road.
You got to go downhill past what used to be Carlson's.
No, because my land stretches. Yeah, I have a big piece of land.
Oh, it's way behind the neighbors, and it's way down by the creek.
I've been recusing myself all along.
Okay.
We didn't know that we would have so many vacancies tonight, so,
Well, I tried.
sorry. You did try. So we'll carry that over. Now, under new business, Nat Prentice is expected to be here to talk about the comprehensive plan, but I assume that that's why you're here? All right, so in Nat's absence, we have Rich Butensky, who will speak to us about the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee.
Hi. We've hired Nelson Pope to be our consultant, but we have not actually gotten underway with them yet. But we should get started with them probably beginning of the year. I don't think it's going to happen before the end of the year because of Christmas and that sort of thing. But we've gone through some change of membership in the board, and we've also had numerous public meetings. We've also spent time at the farmers market and some other places in order to promote our. We have a survey, an online survey, to get opinions from the public about where they stand on a few different issues and what their preferences are. So we'd also like some feedback from the planning board in terms of what anything you'd like to see in the comprehensive plan. We've gotten some idea that maybe you want us to put something in on about gaining clarity with steep slope law.
Yes. We talked about that at our last meeting. In fact, it's in our minutes from our October meeting, which I can have forwarded to Nat to incorporate our comments.
Okay, that's good. Anything else? Do you need any more? Is there anything you want in there about what is the subdivision? Conservation subdivision. Thank you. So, is that something that
But my understanding is
Yeah,
that
some clarity.
you would like? Yeah. I mean, we don't. Obviously, we don't
Right.
go specific on the law, but we can ask for certain types of clarity and certain from in the making of the law. Anything else that you have in mind?
No, this is just a question, so I don't know. But there was a time that we had one application, and they wanted to have two driveways, that sort of more or less went to the same place. And then as we talked about it, it seemed that the code doesn't put any limitation on driveways. You could have 5, so I just thought that maybe somebody should look at that.
You're correct. The code doesn't have any specific reference to access in terms of limitations on access, but that's controlled through the highway department, specifically the highway superintendent. He's got to grant a highway access permit for any proposed access, and I'm reasonably certain that he would limit such access to one. Could be codified, that would be fine, but I think it's accomplished through that.
see.
Right.
Okay.
I think that what that was about too, like there might have been one entrance, but then a number of roads that went around. It was behind Dick's Castle where there was the other swimming pool that was going to be on this steep slope a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was years ago.
So I think that's an impervious surface question,
Yeah.
like what degree of impervious surfaces should be permitted in a residential small lot.
I don't know if that's all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we could certainly bring that up as an issue, whether the community feels as if we should, and I think actually we do have things that could be, we certainly we do have some things in the proposal for the comprehensive plan that involve impervious surfaces and environmental impact and limiting, and obviously limiting those things as much as possible. So I would think that there probably will be, if somebody wanted to hang their hat on pointing to the comprehensive plan and say, well, the comprehensive plan says that there shouldn't, that having all these entrances is contrary to that. I think that there's something like that probably already is in the comprehensive plan that exists, but certainly I think it will end up, something will end up in there already. Not specifically that would stop somebody. I don't think we don't make law.
Right.
But I think you could hang your hat on some things that'll be in there if somebody were trying to point to the comprehensive plan for something like that.
Do you have any questions, Dennis or Neil?
No.
Nothing?
Rich, what's your schedule now? I tried to make a couple of these meetings over the last year and feel remiss. I have missed several, but what, are you on twice a month now or every other Tuesday?
We generally try to do twice a month, and we were on a Thursday schedule. I think that's been in a little bit of flux because of changes in meeting places and where we've been allowed to meet, and there's a little bit of a crunch of meeting spaces these days. So that may be switching to Mondays.
So if
But-
you want any of us to come, you'll have to not have it be the third Thursday of the month,
Right,
just as.
right, I got that. Yeah, no, that's a good point, so.
Bob, the town meetings are
First Thursday.
first Thursday.
And
We're
we
the
have
third.
workshops on Wednesdays.
I'm sorry?
We have workshops Wednesdays.
Okay.
Right. So I've been for my own selfish reasons, I've been pitching Monday nights, and I think we might be doing that.
Okay.
That's a possibility. It seems like that might happen. So, but we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may get in one. Yeah, we may get in one more meeting. But
Okay.
all right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
And let us
give our
know
regards
if
to
you
Nat.
let us know if you need anything.
Great, thank you. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? No? So I will call this meeting to a close.
Well, what you usually have a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. I'd like to have
That's
a
what you
motion
meant.
to adjourn.
Why don't
Oh,
we-
I'm terribly sorry.
I know I'm not allowed to speak, but
I'm going to speak anyway.
we have a Christmas party on the third Thursday of December and just kind of trying to find out whether you're going to have a planning board meeting or not.
So Tara, do we have any, we won't know if we have anything.
Well, I mean, the only thing is we're
We have
holding
this,
over
we
the
have these
show,
guys, so we got it, yeah. I think we already decided that, yeah,
Decided this got to postpone
right,
this meeting.
Okay,
So
all right. So you will.
yep.
So you'll have to move the party to another night.
Or make it really late. So, yes, because you guys are the meeting, so we'll be, yeah. Okay. Anything else? No? Thank you for your help. I'd like to, anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job, Kim.